Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. So we just left a listing appointment out here in the Friendsville area, almost on the lake. Lake views and has access to the lake, but not quite lakefront there. But being so far out, during our walkthrough, we were talking about a few things. Of course, they were on a septic tank, right? There's no city sewer there. And they're on well water there because when this whole development, these is nice houses, right? This is a really, really nice neighborhood. These houses were developed, there was no, county, city, public water available either. So everybody out there, that, built more than 3 years ago, is on well water, right? And I'm a big fan of well water, and a lot of people are, especially, those that have animals such as a farm or pools or stuff like that, right? It's just cheaper than paying for water with it. And if you have a good well and there's not anything about it going dry, you're fine, for the most part, right? Well, they have everything, they have these irrigation, or not irrigation, they have these like water treatment stuff it goes through, and so it's all great water, everything there. Well, he said about 3 years ago, he actually pointed, it would not even have been a conversation, but he said about 3 years ago, they actually brought in public water just across the road. So, there's a fire hydrant right there. Looking right at his house, I could throw a football left-handed and hit the fire hydrant. Maybe not hit it, but at least get it there. So that got me thinking. I was like, well, actually, certain loans such as VA or FHA, right? Now, this home will be priced out of FHA's price limit, but it still applies to VA. If you are on well water, but county water is available, I want to say if public water is available, you could be required to hook up to it for those government loans. So I knew that was a thing, but I've never ran into it where it was this obvious, right? And plus the higher price point homes, I know the lower price point homes usually didn't have to do it because of the cost of doing it. It was it didn't make sense. And so there was some loopholes there. And so usually when we're doing that, it's, $200,000-$300,000 houses, so it was never a big deal, but this house was going to be a very expensive house. And so I was like, all right, I need to call some lenders, to get some back in. So I called some lenders there, and basically came to the consensus that, as long as the cost of doing it is less than 3% of the closing cost, they will require you to actually hook up to public water. So if we're talking a $500,000 house, that means if it costs less than $15,000 to hook up to the public water, the seller will have to pay for this and will have to hook up in order to close on a government loan. Now, obviously cash doesn't care, conventional loans don't care, but government loans do care. So a part of that conversation I've had, I was talking to the lenders with them there and discussing, and we were just kind of running numbers and stuff. And, based on the price point, there's no way that it's going to cost more than 3% them to hook it up based on what this home is going to be worth. And because it's right there at the road. So we're talking over, and I said, so, guys, if we do get a VA offer, we need to make sure we have quotes ahead of time so we know what the cost is that you're going to incur in order to accept this VA offer and to go in. And I'm just going to use easy numbers. Let's just say they come out and they said, yeah, it's $10,000 to hook up to public water. Well, what if you got a conventional offer or a cash offer that was $5,000 less than the VA offer? All right, so the purchase price is less, but if you're already going to lose $10,000 of your money as a seller to hook this up, it would probably make sense for you financially to accept a little bit lower purchase price and go with something because your walk away is going to be more money. I just thought that was super interesting because, again, having, 6 years in real estate almost now, 500 something contracts, and this is really the first time I've ran into where I'm 98% sure if they accepted a VA buyer, that they would be required to pay this to hook up. And the seller, he had some ballpark. He goes, honestly, it might cost 10 grand. And I was like, well, we need to make sure before we list it, right, let's get some quotes, just so we know we have some numbers in hand. And, that way, and odds are, right, the buyer, VA buyer, odds are don't care. They probably actually prefer well water. Most people are going to that have had wells and understand wells and how that works. They would probably even prefer it, but it would have to be hooked up, even if that's not the main water source. They would have to hook it up. So it's just something for anybody to consider if your home is on well water, but public water is available. You need to make sure you're talking with your agent to see what loan types may require you to have an extra expense in order to close it. So super important stuff. As always, guys, any questions, feel free to holler. Have a great day.